is very tall now. And like it's just a bunch of empty space at the bottom of it. And I don't understand why.
Yeah, and you can't even resize it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was confused. I was like, oh, I must have resized it. And you know what? I wonder if it will happen to you on Monday when you get your new monitor.
Oh, maybe.
All right, looks like we're live.
Hello, everybody.
They can't see a wave because I haven't hit the button yet. There we go.
Oh, hello, everybody. And
yeah,
somebody didn't wave to make it interesting. I waved when they couldn't see me, and I didn't wave when they could.
There you go. I'm just adjusting my camera. I'm never happy with where my camera is. There we go. What is this song? Goodbye. I gotta find some other station.
Okay, do I have 30 seconds before we do the show?
If you want, we have all the time in the world, Lloyd.
Okay, I will be back in like a minute. I said 30 seconds.
Oh, see, he said 30 seconds, and now he's changing it to a minute. You can't trust this guy.
Upstairs, and I'm an old man, so sprinting is a little bit slower than it used to be. I'll be back.
All right. Oh, here, I'll just switch to solo mode. Hey, everybody. Hello there, Jerome. Good morning. Hey, Vaxer, Gem, Darren, Kodiak, Moonwolf, Goblin Lord, Raven Anime. Look at all these green names. I love seeing these green names. Thank you very much. Anthony Talcott, Shen, Random Noob, Chris Tan, the Pelican 3. The other two Pelicans were taken. How's it going, everybody? If you're having a great morning, do me a favor. Click that like button before we get started. Wait, did I type that wrong? No, it's Saturday. The fear in your eyes on that first look Metro, pure entertainment. Well, guess what, Gavin? I've got good news for you. I have been playing it more, and I've been recording myself playing it. So, in the future, you should see those videos. Hey there, Noah. Alucard, how's it going? Good morning, Tommy. Regnor Snas. Hello. I'll just call you Reggie. Distracted by spiders. Yeah, there's a clip twitch of me someplace where I am in the middle of a podcast and talking to my friend, and my wife comes in and she says, "Can you check me for spiders?" And I said, "No, I will not check you for spiders because spiders are not cool." Green names are people who are members. Hello there, Matthew. Hello there from Germany. How's it going? Lloyd has returned.
I am back.
I put the camera on you really quickly before you had a chance to put your headphones on, so now they know that you have ears.
Was it it was a thought that I didn't.
Well, you know, people always wonder.
One of those earless folks. People can watch. I can't remember what video it was, but I actually didn't have a hat on, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, I thought you were bald." Like, no, I wear hats on the weekends.
You can even see your hair up here when you turn your head. Don't do it. Oh,
you can see.
See now everybody knows.
The front is all squished from hat head.
Yeah. That's one of the advantages of shaving your head is that you don't have to worry about hat head. I can throw on a hat and not have to worry, because before I started shaving my head, if I put a hat on, that was it for the day. You're wearing a hat. You got no choice, because then you got this. A buddy of mine, he's got like super thick hair, and so he could put on a hat and take it back off, and it looks just like he was never wearing a hat. And I was always jealous of that. Well, now I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, no, I have some friends like that too, where they have to buy like really big hats because they have so much hair, and it's like that's weird. What happens if you lose your hair? Like all your hat's just gonna rattle around on the top of your head.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, are you ready to start the show?
Sure. The Saturday thing in the show notes, we should maybe cover that one first.
Okay. All right. I'm fine with that. Before we
After story time.
After story time. Okay. Story time. I'm going to have to add story time to the show notes. All right. So, before what we've been playing, right?
Yeah, let's do it
Okay.
right off the top.
Okay. Let me hit record. I'm going to switch the screen. And we're recording. All right. That's how it's supposed to work. You hit the big red button and it works. All right, here we go, everybody.
Do I need to move over to be more centered on your screen?
I don't know. Let's check. Where's my... All right, sit where you were. I don't know. It looks fine to me.
Okay.
You guys okay with that? If not, Lloyd will slightly shift to his right every once in a while. There you go. Eventually, he'll just fall right off the edge of the screen, and I'll have to get a new co-host. All right.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Awesome.
I gotta find the button. Oh, here it is. Hey everyone, welcome back to Stadiacast, your place the place where you find all the Stadia news that you're looking for. Oh my god, I can't talk. Lloyd, we record this show on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern over at youtube.com/Stadiacast. You think after doing this 43 times I'd be good at it, but no, I'm not. I'm Bill, that's Lloyd. What's going on, Lloyd?
Not much, man. I'm sitting here laughing because of our pre-show chatter and then what just happened. So it's going to be a good show. I know it.
If you want to directly support Stadiacast and you're here with us live, you can use the Super Chat feature to support us and make sure that we see your message at the end of the show. We will respond to each and every Super Chat. That's the second half of the show. We call that crowd play. You can also now become a member of our channel. If you want to know more about that, click the join button right below. Now, last week, and we've got a bunch of stuff that we want to get to before we talk about what we've been playing and the news. But last week, Lloyd and I had come up with this plan to cut the show into pieces and put each one of those pieces as a different video on YouTube. And we thought maybe that would help us get more views, because then people who would see it and they'd be like, oh, it's a 10-minute video. Let's watch that. Instead of, oh, this is an hour-and-a-half video. I'm never going to watch that. And while I still think that makes sense, it didn't work quite the way we thought. Now, when we told everybody about that, there were a few people who didn't like the idea, but for the most part, people were really supportive and they liked the idea. And then we were going to take the full show and, hide it behind the join button for a week. Well, Lloyd and I did that for last week, and it was just way too much work. Like, I had to, Lloyd's going in there and finding all of the times to cut, and then I have to go in and edit everything and cut it, and oh my God, I had to make 4 times the thumbnails. I had to make 4 times the bunch of tags that you have to do, and it's just too much work. So we decided not to do that. And Lloyd,
Yeah.
you have something to say?
Yeah, it was just we had like, this wasn't like a, hey, why don't we just do this? It wasn't just like a 5 seconds before we started the show chat. We were talking back and forth for a while. It's like, what do we do? Like, the long videos aren't getting watched, so maybe short videos would help it out. So let's cut up our long videos into short videos. Everyone that's here live will get the full thing, and then everybody that's not live can listen to the audio or stitch together all the small videos, and we'll make it easy for them to do that. And it seemed like a no-brainer when we were talking about it. But the internet has spoken, and there was a lot of people that were not very happy about it. So all the other additional work and everything on top of that is basically meaning that we're gonna scrap that idea, and we're gonna come up with maybe some other ideas to make smaller segments. So if we talk about, say, Google announces Halo's coming to Stadia, and it's just like this mind-blowing thing, we would cover that in the podcast, but then myself or Bill or myself and Bill will get together and record a small video about that if it's like really crazy news. And we think maybe that's the best way to go forward, is still offer the small content that isn't just a duplicate of the longer content, and maybe that'll help with the algorithm, and it'll also help with people stop commenting, hey, I just watched this, why are you uploading duplicate stuff?
Right. And that was really the biggest problem, is that in order to make sure that everybody got to see the whole part of the show, I had to upload everything on the same day. And so 4 things on the same day, people were like, whoa, I'm not going to watch all this. I'll watch something later. So we ended up like losing a lot of views by doing it that way.
Right.
But I would say that most of the people that I talked to said that they liked the idea of us doing it. A lot of people said, why don't you make another channel called Highlights? I got to be honest, I don't know that I have time for another channel. And even if I did, we are so small, it doesn't really make sense for us to do that right now.
Yeah.
Plus, then we would have to record separately and then edit and then re-upload and render, and that would take forever. Anyway, yes, Halo is coming to Stadia. You heard it here first, Stripe. All right. Anyway, so that out of the way, somebody might say, all right, well, what are you going to offer to members? And I haven't talked to Lloyd about this, but here's what I'm going to do. I started recording my playthrough of Metro Exodus, and those will be member-only videos for a short amount of time. So when I upload those videos, it'll be members only, and then after, I don't know how long, I haven't decided yet, those will be available to everyone. So eventually it'll be available to everyone, but if you want to see them first, then it's going to be members only. I almost said Metro only. Anyway, are you ready to move on now, Lloyd?
Yeah, I am. I just want to say that, like, we want to offer something for the members, but I know a lot of YouTube channels don't. So we're gonna play this by ear. We're gonna, like everything else, this is really new. Stadia is new. This large community is new. So we're gonna be playing everything by ear as we make our way through kind of, I don't know, figuring out what works best for everybody, because we want this to be the best place to find Stadia news and information on games and all this other stuff. So it's gonna take a while, but we'll get it, because we're eager to make everybody happy and to enjoy the content we put out.
Right. And there's people in chat that are saying, we don't need anything, we're supporting because we like the show. And we really do appreciate that. And that's why we're trying to find something that we can do to offer to members to say thank you, because we really do appreciate it. All right. Yeah. That being said, we talked about this for long enough. Let's move on. Super Stadia Saturday, which for me is hard to say. Super Stadia Saturday. Lloyd, do you want to tell people what that is?
So it's alliteration at number one. That's what it is. But what Super Stadia Saturday is, it's on the 15th of February. All of the big Stadia creators on YouTube and elsewhere are going to be getting together and doing an event to bring awareness to Stadia. So people like Club Stadia, Gloria Stadia, Stadiacast, Stadia Dosage, Stadia Player One, Stadian, Stadia Source, and a dozen other that I didn't say, not because they don't deserve it, but just because I was reading time. There you go. Are going to be getting together, and we're going to be doing hour blocks throughout the day where we're going to be talking about Stadia, doing an open mic, streaming a game, yada, yada, yada. And everyone's filling out kind of like the time that they want to do if they're uploading a special video or whatever. And we're using the hashtag Stadia Super Saturday.
Saturday.
Or Super Stadia Saturday, sorry.
Shoot, and now I don't even know.
Is it? I think
Is
it's
it Stadia Super Saturday?
Stadia Super Saturday.
That's what
it's
says.
one of those things. Just follow all the hashtags is what we're doing. But basically what it's going to be is 24 hours of Stadia content put out there by a whole pile of super talented content creators on YouTube. So Bill and I are going to be doing an open mic, and then we might be streaming a game. Maybe we're still kind of trying to figure that out. But we have a couple blocks, and we're going to try to find content that's going to fit well in those couple blocks. So hopefully this is going to bring a whole bunch of awareness to Stadia to people that maybe don't know a lot about it, because they're going to see these hashtags flying and they're going to check it out. But then also it's going to be I don't know, good cooperation between all of these Stadia content creators online. And I don't know, working together with content creators is always better than being out on an island all by yourself. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it sounds super fun too. Like that's what I'm most excited for is the fun nature of this. So Darren Pogue in chat wants to know if Google reached out to start this. They have not. This was actually the idea of StadiaSource.com. So like they came up with the idea and emailed us about it, and we said absolutely, let's do this. I actually kind of said absolutely, let's do this before I even got a hold of Lloyd, because Lloyd and I don't get to talk much throughout the week. So I was like, yes, let's do this. And then I was like, hey Lloyd, are you going to be available at this time? And he's like, yes, I will. And I was like, all right, that works. So yeah, that's what we're doing. And again, that's Saturday, February 15th. We don't know what the schedule is like yet, so stay tuned. I'm sure that Lloyd and I will tweet something out, or we'll say something as the date approaches, which is coming quickly, really, really quickly.
Yeah.
All right, Lloyd, what have you been playing this week?
Well, before what we've been playing, I have a little story to tell, Bill.
Sorry, I forgot.
That's fine. Is this a good time for Lloyd's story time? Because I think this is going to be interesting to a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Because it made me laugh a lot, because I shook my head and said, of course this happened. Why wouldn't have this happened? So we were talking a lot over the last few weeks about 4K, and I want to get a 4K monitor. I've been talking about that for a while, and I looked into it, and it's not that the monitor itself was expensive. It's that I found out that to get a 4K capture card, I need a new video card, and then I might need new RAM. And it's just like, okay, so I do one thing. I buy a monitor, which is like a simple plug and play thing, and it's going to force me to spend like $800 of other stuff. And it's like, do I want to do that now? Do I want to just build a new PC? I was kind of humming and hawing, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just get a monitor. And if I can't capture, that's fine. At least I'll be able to plug my Chromecast into it. I'll have more screen real estate. That'll just be a good first step. And if I end up building a whole new PC, then I'll just use that with that new PC. It's going to be great. So I placed an order on I think like Wednesday or Tuesday of last week, and it was supposed to arrive on Friday, but then it somehow got delayed in Canada Post, because Canada Post, if any Canadians out there, you'll shake your head along, and yeah, you'll tip your coffee or your hat to that. So it said that's going to be coming on Monday, and I was like, oh crap. I was hoping to set it up on the weekend and have some time with it to talk about it on the show, because I want to talk about my experience with 4K. So that wasn't going to happen. And I was like, okay, well, I'll at least talk about the fact that I ordered a monitor. And then yesterday I was recording Nintendo Pulse, my weekly Nintendo news show. And right before starting, it was, I do it at 10 a.m. Central. And at like 9:45, my son pokes his head into the room, and he's like, Dad? I'm like, yeah, I'm just about to get started. He's like, yeah, but the TV just turned off. And I was like, okay, turn it back on. Like, what do you mean it just turned off? He's like, no, I was playing a game, and it just, the screen went black. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it just like completely went off, and you hit the power button and nothing's happening? He's like, yep. I'm like, okay, well, maybe the batteries are dead. So I walk up to the TV, and I'm hitting the power button, and I found out that, in fact, the TV itself was dead. So I asked him for a little bit more info, and he was starting to play Assassin's Creed, and then this like little like kind of blob of rainbow just appeared on the screen, and then everything just went black. And I'm like, oh great, okay, well that's a board that died on the back of the thing. So it's, the TV's basically dead, but I got to do my show, and then I will come talk to you after. So did my podcast. The whole time I'm doing the podcast, little TV things are going on in my head. How do I do this? How do I figure this out? How do I reset to factory? All this other stuff. Finish the podcast, come out, figure out how to get the service codes. 14 blinks. It's a Panasonic TV. TV is completely dead. There's two boards in it. and it's either one or the other, or both boards are dead. So there's no way that I could fix this myself. It's not like I just go and like reseat a ribbon cable or something like that. So, so after that, I went out to the store, and while waiting for my 4K monitor, I went out and I bought a 4K TV. So now I've experienced Stadia in 4K. It is phenomenal. I love it. I tried Trials HD. I tried Metro. HDR is wonderful. 4K is wonderful. But I played 4K before I had a chance to play 4K. And I thought that was a funny story, because you buy something to do a thing and then you're forced to do it some other way. That's just the story of my life.
I'm running into the same, not exactly the same issue, but I have a 5-year-old CPU in my computer. And if you guys noticed just a minute ago, there was a little bit of crackling. That's because I was moving a window. And right now, I am streaming this to YouTube. Lloyd and I are on a video chat with Discord. I have windows. I have 4 browser windows open, and I'm recording the audio of this. And all of that is a little much for my 5-year-old CPU. So I've been looking into new CPUs, and when I upgraded, and I know this isn't related to Stadia, Bill. Why are you talking about this? I don't care. So when I upgraded, I used to be on a Mac, right? And I went from a Mac to a PC because I wanted it to be easier for gaming. And it had been a very long time since I'd done any research. And I bought stuff, and I ended up getting an i5 LGA something, right? Well, when I eventually upgraded that i5 to an i7, I realized that I picked the wrong socket, because now they don't make any more of those sockets anymore. And so that means if I upgrade my CPU, I have to get a new motherboard, and I have to get new RAM. And it's been such a pain. And I just, every time I try and do some research on it, I get nervous and I say, forget it. I'm just going to stick with what I have. But I don't know how much longer I'm going to last with that. Anyway, let's get into the actual Stadia stuff. Lloyd, what have you been playing this week?
So it had been almost nothing up until yesterday, when I had some time to play Trials, because I was shamed into it from the Discord. Everyone was playing, and I'm like, oh, I really want to play this. And like, oh, it's a lot of fun. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to play it. And then it's like, oh, it's really good. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got to get it. So I bought Trials Gold, and I've been playing that. And the one thing about Trials that is really weird to me is the kind of like the
tutorial,
the tutorial, like the kind of like learning area. It looks like it should be easy, and it is really, really incredibly hard to get anything above just a passing grade, whatever it is, like D or whatever. But then I play a normal match and I come in first or second, and it's like, okay, well, why is this so difficult? Like, how many people bounced from the game after going through the tutorial and just said, no, this is garbage, I'm not playing this anymore? That made me kind of scratch my head a little bit. But yeah, Trials is really good, man. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's I don't know if it's a game that I'm ever gonna compete like force high scores with the community, because I got a really good score on one level. Like, I came in first. I like, the ghosts that were following me were like way behind me. Like, I was so out in front of them. And then I look at the high score for friends, and I was like 14th, and it's like, oh, all right, well then maybe I'm not going to do this anymore. Maybe I'm not going to look anymore at the high score list, because it's a little bit depressing.
Yeah, you said how many people are going to bounce. That was almost me. Like, like Lloyd knows this because I reached out to him about this. I was saddled with a crippling case of ethics, and I didn't know what I should do. I bought Trials because it was so cheap, right? And I started playing it, and I was doing the tutorial, and as I played the tutorial, I realized, oh my God, this game is ridiculously hard, almost impossible. This is ridiculous. I recorded a first look, and then I sent a message to Lloyd. I was like, Lloyd, do you think I should upload this? I think I'm going to return the game. I don't think that it's right for me to upload a video and then return the game. I feel like that's I don't know, kind of skeezy, if that makes sense. And
Sure.
Lloyd was like, I don't know, man. You got to do with whatever makes you feel comfortable. And he's right about that. And at the end of the day, I decided that I was going to keep the game because it was so cheap anyway. I mean, I bought the $16 version because it came with all of the DLC tracks and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I thought it's only 16 bucks. I can deal with it. But that tutorial, especially the leaning tutorial,
Oh my
was
God.
so awful and thrown at me way too early in the game. It
Yeah.
should not be called a tutorial, and it should not be thrown at you that early in the game. Because I was playing, like, you did the first couple of tracks where it's just like when you first start up, and I was like, okay, I'm doing okay. And then I got to this is all on YouTube, so you guys can go watch this agony where I actually had to edit it. You can see the agony on my face as I'm going over these stupid little tiny bumps, which look super easy. And yeah, Clive in chat is saying that leaning is a nightmare. It is a nightmare. It should not be that early in the game. And I guarantee there were a lot of people who noped right out of that game when they hit that. And, luckily, returning games on Stadia is super, super easy. I bet you a lot of people returned it. Like, it was on sale and they tried it and they ended up saying, nope, not for me because this is too hard. And they returned it. And the thing is that the rest of the game isn't like that. It's not like that. It's really, really fun. If I want to sit down and play a game for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, that's the game that I'm going to play. And I don't think there's enough of those games on Stadia right now. There's not enough games where it's just little bite-sized niblets of fun. It's all these long-form kind of games that you end up playing. So I think Trials is awesome, and I recommend it, but good God, as soon as you can quit out of the tutorial thing, leave it.
Yeah.
Joel Thompson's bragging in chat. He says he got an A+ on leaning. Oh, my God. Wow. I did it. I don't know how many times I did it, but the highest I got was a D.
Yeah, on leaning, I got a D. On the first one, I got an A, I believe. So I was like, oh, this is easy. This is no problem. And then, you do the leaning, and it's like, what I ended up beating that course without doing any leaning at all, just controlling my brake or controlling my gas and brake. And I was able to get through it without like leaning forward, because the inclines and declines are so small that by the time that you lean, you're throwing the bike over anyway, because you can't reverse from it fast enough. And I'm like, this is trash. And then I went and played a couple races, and I'm like, okay, well, this is easy. This should have been how the game started. Do kind of like advanced tutorials, not what you were forced to do. You do one race, which is super easy, and then you're forced to do the learning courses before you can get into the rest of the racing. So anyway, loving the game. It looks amazing when what you played on a 4K set with HDR. It looks great, even though it doesn't have HDR. But it looks fantastic. I'm like, okay, this is great. This is my first experience of 4K gaming on Stadia, and it works really well. Even though I think it was only just over 2,000 pixels across, so it wasn't a full 4K video, just because of the way that it was coming to me at that point. It looks great. It looks fantastic, and I'm super excited to jump deeper into Trials.
Yeah, it's a really fun game, and I'm enjoying it a lot. Any other games that you've been playing this week?
Playing Metro. Another game that I wanted to get into because it offers 4K support with HDR. And I've played Metro before. This is a game I was playing on, I believe it's like my Xbox 360, and I got almost to the end of this game, and I was fighting this big flying bat thing, and it did an attack which pushed me out of the way, and I went into the geometry. And because when I went into the geometry, it was close to a tunnel, so a quick save happened. So basically, I was stuck in geometry. I couldn't do anything. I'm shooting this thing. It dies. I can't get out. Can't do anything. So I reload my save, and I reload to the exact same place. So my whole game was screwed up, and I just said, yeah, screw this, and I'm not playing this game ever again. So I never beat the game back in the day, but I've always wanted to go back into it and play it again, because it is really fun. I know you've been playing it as well, Bill, and you've played it more than I have. So I just want to ask you, because I'm playing, I turned my Stadia all the way up to like the top best quality for graphics to get 4K. I turned HDR on, and it feels like I'm driving a tank when I'm turning. Like I move, and it's almost like I stop moving and I'm still moving for like a split second. And I'm not sure if that's the game or if it's just me at that one point. So I wanted to chat with you a little bit about that. Are you finding any weirdness with moving in the game, like moving the camera or yourself?
I would say not moving myself, but I feel like the aiming in that game is very slow, especially when you compare it to what you've been playing a lot was Borderlands. That's an incredibly quick back and forth when you're aiming. Aiming in Metro Exodus to me felt really, really slow. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a sensitivity slider in the options. I turned that all the way up in order to make it feel a little bit better. It still feels a little slow, but I could be wrong, as I've never played a Metro game before. I think that is the style of game that they're going for. It's not like a run and gun game. It's more of so far from what I've seen, it's more of a stealth game. And I have to agree, the controls are really, it's frustratingly slow how slow you turn when you are moving, especially if you don't adjust your sensitivity all the way as high as you possibly can. That being said, I also ran into an issue where I was struggling with switching between guns. I was like, it said, press R1 to switch between guns. So I pressed R1 and my character threw a thing. And I was like, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm supposed to hold R1. And then so I'm holding R1 and I'm like, well, now what do I do? I couldn't figure out what to do next. And, you know, if you're, dear listener, if you're watching this, make sure that you, dear listener, if you're watching this, you know what I mean. You know, go and watch my playthrough when they come out, and you're gonna see that moment where I'm like, how do I switch my guns? Because I had a long gun that jammed, and I was trying to switch to my pistol. I couldn't figure out how to do it, and I ended up just running away from the giant lobster that was trying to kill me. But overall, I think that game's really cool, and there's some extremely cool cinematic moments that I've seen so far. But I didn't realize it was such a stealth style game, and I don't know if that persists throughout, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. And I just got a backpack that lets me craft bullets and stuff in the field, and I think that's really cool, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely like a slow and plodding game. Like you're planning your moves, because if you're out in the real world, you're taking radiation damage. Your filter on your mask is going down. So there's a lot of things. I don't know if they fixed this for the remaster, but there was bugs in the original release where you could damage your mask. So if you take a lot of damage, you get cracks in your mask, and then you can replace that. You can fix it, but there was bugs where you fix it and those don't go away. So I remember playing my game, I had like cracks all over my screen, and there was nothing I could do to get rid of them. So hopefully a lot of those things are fixed. But yeah, the game itself is really slow. The Pelican in the chat room says changing filters in the gas mask is confusing to me. Yeah, like it says hold L1 and then it disappears, and it's like hit down arrow. So on the D-pad. So I hold L1 and I hit down and nothing happens.
Okay,
so I hold down and then I put my own mask back on. I don't know, it's weird.
So I was running into the same issue. L1 is just to wipe off your mask when like snow gets stuck on your mask and you want to be able to see. L1 is just to wipe it off. If you want to change your filter, you just tap the down button. That'll change the filter out. And this was driving me crazy. I went inside a building and the character's wife is like, take off your mask. It did not tell me how to do it. And I'm like, I don't know how to take off my mask. I couldn't figure it out. So I had to look at the controls in game. And finally I figured out I had to hold the down button to take my mask off. So it's like they need a better way of teaching you how to play the game. But once you figure all that stuff out, I've been having a lot of fun with it. And I probably got 5 episodes recorded yesterday. Nice. It was really fun. I played it for a couple hours, so I'm looking forward to playing more of it.
Great. Yeah, no, it's a good game. I'm happy that you like it. I don't know if I'm going to beat it, but I definitely want to get a little bit further to fight some of the really awesome bigger enemies that appear in the world.
So we should probably also mention that Guilt. I mean, because Metro Exodus is a free pro game this month, and then Guilt is also a free pro game this month. And we've both. I finished Guilt, which is I'm very proud of because I never finish games. Did you ever finish it, Lloyd?
No, I didn't get much for it because I wanted to just do it on stream, and I just haven't had a chance to sit here and play through the rest of it. Maybe I'll just beat it because it's a game's been out for a while and there's enough let's plays on YouTube. But I really do want to beat it because that game, I had a lot of fun during my couple times that I played it. So I really want to defeat it and get all the trophies and figure out what the rest of the story is all about.
All right. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that those two games are free. Open up your phones, hit the claim button as soon as you can so that you can get those games and start playing. And if you're curious what Guilt is like, we do have a review right here on this channel. All right, let's talk about the news. Actually, God, we've been talking for a long time. Let's do our break for our sponsor, and then after that, we'll talk about the news. That sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Color? Introducing Game Gear from Sega. The full-color portable video game system that separates the men from the boys. Game Gear from Sega.
All right, we are back. Let's talk about Unity. I think that this is probably the biggest news that we've had as far as Stadia news that's not come from Google so far. Lloyd, do you want to tackle this?
Yeah, so Unity is game creation middleware. It's been out forever. If you've played games on iOS, if you played games on PlayStation, if you played games on Nintendo, there's a good chance that some of them have been made with Unity. It's a game engine like Unreal Engine or a lot of the other the other game engines out there. But with as of Unity 2019.3, which was just released, it offers support for Stadia built into it. So if you have access to Stadia development kit, you can basically compile and output a Stadia binary, which can then be uploaded through your dev kit, and you can play your game on Stadia. Obviously, there's a lot more to that. You just don't make a game and then say, click the Make for Stadia button. There's a lot more that comes into it. But that is really great because that means that developers that want to make games for Stadia don't have to use Unreal Engine or some other engine that they may not be comfortable with. They might just want to move their Unity game to Stadia. So this is going to be huge, and hopefully this leads to just an influx of more independent games and smaller titles, because then those developers can basically turn on a dime and change the way that they're outputting their games, so they can make the other binaries, but then they can make a Stadia binary and release it onto the store. So this is great news. I haven't had a chance to poke into it. I don't have access to a Stadia dev kit anyway, so it wouldn't help me if I did play around with it. But this will only be good news for the Stadia community.
I 100% agree, and this is I think that this is the biggest news. So I was going to say so far this year, but it's February. But it's the biggest news I think since Stadia was launched, is that Unity now fully supports it, because that's going to make it so much easier for developers to make their ports. Now, of course, Unity is incredibly popular, and that's why it's so exciting, because like most of the games I think that you are used to playing were made in Unity, because Unity works on Nintendo Switch, it works on iOS, it works on PC, it works on PS4, it works on Xbox, and now it works on Stadia. So a lot of developers, they look at that and they say, okay, we want to make sure that we use Unity because it makes the porting process to all of these other platforms much, much easier. And, I saw a recent poll that was, I guess it was sent out ahead of GDC, asking developers what systems they are interested in making games for. And I wish that I had grabbed it. I hadn't planned on talking about it today, but the poll was what systems are you interested in making games for, and 50% of people of developers said that they were interested in PC, and that's really, really great, because then you look at those other portions, and it was like I think it was 15%. 15% were interested in Xbox Series X. 20% were interested in PS5, and I think it was around 13% were interested in Stadia, which sounds really low, but guess what? The developers want to make it for all of those things, and Unity is one of those things that makes it possible. So I think that this is really, really good news. All right, let's talk about this.
It's
go
actually
ahead.
One other thing before we move on. It's not just support to take your plain old game and move it to Stadia and play like it would play on every other console. Unity is saying this latest extension to our platform ecosystem. In this latest extension to our platform ecosystem, we now offer support for approved developers to create and ship their first game on Google Stadia cloud gaming platform. This support includes Stadia enhanced features like State Share, Stream Connect, as well as Stadia Controller with YouTube and Google Assistant integration. These features will enable you to push the edges of what's possible on the platform. So this isn't just like run your 2D game on PC and then take your 2D game and put it on Stadia. This allows developers to do Stream Connect and State Share and use YouTube and Google Assistant stuff with the controller. So maybe this will be kind of how developers push out these new features, because we know they're available on Google Stadia, just no developers have made games that support them yet. So that's pretty big news as well, because it's not just take your plain old game and just move it to another platform. It's take your game and then add a bunch of Stadia specific features to it and then push it into Stadia. That's great, and I'm excited to see what comes from that.
Right, and just want to be sure that everybody understands, Lloyd and I are not saying that that's a checkbox. There's still a lot of work that happens there.
100%.
But this makes it easier. And so that makes it better for everybody who is a fan of playing their games in the cloud, whether it be on Stadia or someplace else, because I'm sure that at some point in the near future, Unity, well, actually, I'm sure that Unity already works with xCloud, because xCloud is just running an Xbox in the cloud rather than actual,
That's right,
like, differentiating from other consoles in, real ways. All right.
Correct.
GameIndustry.biz, we're talking to Google. And look, there's a lot of people who have been saying that Stadia has been very, very slow to make announcements. And I saw some people making YouTube comments on our channel, and one of them said something really interesting. They said, how often does Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft make big announcements about their platforms? It's like once or twice a year. Why is Stadia getting so much pushback for being quiet? And I don't have an answer for that. Lloyd, do you have an answer for that part of this?
I don't think so. I think they're kind of the new kids on the block, so there's a lot more pressure on them to respond. But also, they've also promised a lot of features which we haven't seen yet. So maybe that is fueling some of that. I don't want to say anger, but the avalanche of questions that they're getting.
Right. So anyway, they were talking to Google, or Google was talking to GamesIndustry.biz. I cannot talk today. And this is what Google said. So earlier, Google said 120 titles are coming to Stadia this year in 2020. And people have been asking, what does that mean? And here's what the answer is. They said, we understand the desire to hear more specifics on the games. After all, that is what it is about, the games. Of course, not all 120 titles will be announced by the Stadia team, as we leave it up to the publishers to make the announcement about their IP/games and which platforms it will appear on, just as we do with exclusive content coming to Stadia. They go on to say, there's a lot of reasons for the time of those game announcements. Anything from planned promotions or events, title readiness, proximity of the first playable demos, shareholder requirements, etc. We continue to work closely with our publishing and developing partners and are here to support them in all areas. We are excited to share more about some of the exclusive games coming to Stadia soon. All right, Lloyd, what are your thoughts on those two little paragraphs?
I just think they're saying what they have to say. They're saying that like we're expecting developers to give some more info. We're expecting this, we're expecting that. Like they're not really getting out in front of any sort of issues, but they're explaining kind of what their ideas on the hate and the feedback that they've been getting from people online. So I mean it's what I expected them to say, and I'm glad that they got out in front of it and did say what they said.
I think that there's a lot of people that expect, because they're Google, they can do and say whatever they want. They don't have to make deals ahead of time with these publishers. Like, people just assume that that Google is in charge of all announcements pertaining to Stadia. Well, shareholders for some publisher X, publisher X wants to make a game on Stadia. Publisher X wants to be able to control their own narrative for the game. Shareholders want them to announce games at specific times, when maybe at E3, when all of the eyes are on the industry. Maybe that's when shareholders expect that stuff to happen. So for everybody who expect Google to just come in, swing it around and say, hey, everybody, we get to say everything around here, that's just not going to happen. I think that's a ridiculous expectation.
And at the end of the day, Google really doesn't know what is coming to their platform. They know that they have developers that are working on IP. And I mean, I'm sure they can look at they probably have their own dashboard. They can see what's going on in their development spaces. So they could see that EA is working on this and Blizzard's working on this, and I don't know, another game publisher is working on this, or game developers working on this. But who knows if those are even going to turn into actual shipping products? Because as a developer, you might have 4 or 5 ideas and you throw them out into the cloud, you test them out, but then maybe they don't work out. Something doesn't work. You don't want to release those games. So for Google to come out and say, oh yeah, EA is bringing us some Madden, you'll be able to play Madden just after the Super Bowl, there you go, Madden's coming. EA is going to be like, what the hell, we're not doing that. We're looking at it, we're not ready to ship it. And no platform holder has ever come out and pre-announced a game, because there's deals here, there's business agreements, there's NDAs on both sides. Google isn't responsible for this announcement. I'm glad that they said that it's up to the publishers, because it really is up to the publishers.
Right. Although you gave a wonderful example of what would be a mind-melting event where, all right, first off, there it goes, right on schedule. Lloyd got disconnected at 42 minutes. It would be a mind-melting event. What if at the Super Bowl, EA did a commercial for Madden on Stadia? Wouldn't that be amazing if at the Super Bowl, EA said, oh, by the way, you want to play along? Here's a state share for the Super Bowl that we've set up at halftime or something. Go ahead and play. Just go to this website and play during halftime. How cool would that be?
That would be so fantastic. But yeah, that would be an EA announcement, not a Google announcement.
Right.
Or that would be an EA announcement working closely with Google. It wouldn't be something Google would just pre-announce.
Yeah. They're saying we should try Hangouts. We probably should try Hangouts since we're a Google-focused show, but I don't know. Discord is so comfortable, and it gives us a little bit of humor each week when it happens. Lloyd gets one more gray hair in that beard of his, and maybe eventually he'll catch up to me.
Yeah, I did have another fix from Discord, and I tried it. Obviously, that's not working, so we're gonna keep banging away at this, or we're gonna switch to Skype or Hangouts or something else, because this is trash.
All right. You are the guy here who beat Borderlands with, I don't know, it's like 7,000 hours of gameplay in it or something. What was it?
It was almost 2 days. It was like
Yeah.
46 hours or 45 hours, something like that.
All right. So why don't you tackle this one about the scaling event being changed? And I think a lot of people are going to be happy about this.
Yeah. Well, this doesn't apply to Stadia.
Oh, it doesn't.
All of the updates that Borderlands has come out with, we're still waiting. We still have a I think it's like the pre-October updates from the PC and console version. So we still have that. We haven't gotten any of the newer updates. So that means that the red chest event that's going on right now, which is so much fun to watch on Twitch, we don't have that. We don't have any of these updates. But over I think right around Christmas, I think it was, they said that we're going to be creating something called the Malawan Takedown Scaling Event, which basically allows you and a team to enter the black site, and you can basically scale it scales all the enemies and bosses for the amount of people that are there and the levels and all this stuff, and it leads to just amazing loot. And people were talking about how much they enjoyed this. They just announced, Gearbox just announced that they're going to make it a permanent part of Borderlands 3. You'll basically be able to go to the place where the event takes place and just flip a switch, and then that turns it on, and then you'll be in something called True Takedown Mode, which basically just makes it a toggle to the game, so you can just toggle it on and do that with your friends, and then turn it off. But this just gets added to the pile of stuff that every other version of Borderlands 3 has, that us poor Stadia players, we don't have yet, which really stinks.
It does. Maybe, here's the thing. A lot of people didn't like the Malawan Takedown event because it was scaled specifically for 4 people.
Right.
And then they did a temporary thing where it was, okay, for this weekend, we're going to make it so it scales based on the number of people in the group. And everybody was like, that's so awesome, thank you. And then now they've decided to make it permanent. So maybe by the time the Malawan Takedown event comes to Stadia, and I wish I'd known, I wouldn't have put this in the... I still haven't finished the game, so I wouldn't have put this in the show notes. But maybe by the time it comes to Stadia, we won't have to worry about the scaling growing pains that they had to go through. Yeah, that's disappointing that still hasn't been patched.
Shen in the chat room is saying that we did get the rare chest rate increase. So what's happening right now is there's if you open a red chest in the game, you have a chance to get a legendary. But what they did is they popped in and increased that rate just tenfold. Like it's an amazing rate to get legendaries. I watched a guy open a chest that had 8 slots, and he got 7 legendaries. And
wow.
I'm like, holy crap, I really want this. I went in and opened a couple red boxes, and I got 0 legendaries. So maybe it was just that I didn't luck out. So maybe I have to jump back in and play some more today to see if I get any more legendaries, because I'd like to farm this a little bit and get some better equipment for my almost level 50 character.
Wow. Speaking of, multiplayer games like Borderlands and Trials and, Destiny 2, all these other games that we've been talking about. I know we didn't talk about Destiny 2, but I played it a little bit this week. All these multiplayer games in our Discord, runjumpstomp.com/Discord, I installed a new bot, and it is super cool. In that Discord, there is a channel called LFG. And that's for looking for a group. And if you type !create, you can make an event that other people can then react to in order to say, yes, I will be there. So you can go !create Borderlands 3 in 2 hours, enter. And it blinks a little thing, and everybody can go and convert it to their time zone and hit the checkbox if they can come. And it's a good way to put people together. So make sure that you join the Discord so that you can play these games together. And I know a lot of people have been using it recently to play Trials together. People have been playing a lot of Trials in the Discord as well. All right. It's time for crowd play. This is where we respond to everything that you have said to us. Well, not everything, but the things that we can. So first off, we've got this tweet from Android developers. Somebody had forwarded this to us, and it says Google for Games Developer Summit will take place on March 16th through 17th at GDC. Excuse me. We can't wait to share new tools, tips, technical deep dives on how to create, connect, and scale your game. So I just wanted to use this as a reminder to everybody out there who is looking at GDC and expecting a lot of consumer-facing ideas and consumer-facing announcements. This is going to be the kind of thing that we're going to see there. To the hardcore, this is going to be very interesting stuff. However, if you are just like, what games are going to be announced, I would not expect probably any games to be announced at GDC. I mean, I could be wrong. What, Lloyd, do you think that we're going to have any games like specifically like, hey, by the way, this game's coming out at GDC?
It generally, like, over the years, it's very rare that we get game announcements at GDC, but it has happened. Like I can remember one year Nintendo announced that they're bringing I think it was Elite Beat Agents to the 3DS in North America, and they actually gave everybody in the audience a copy of the game like 2 months before it actually shipped, which was like a really weird thing. And I used to be a director for a local new media group, and the executive director was there, and he got the game, and I'm like, God damn it, why didn't I go on that business trip? I want to get a free copy of that 2 weeks early or 2 months early. So it has happened, but it's not a super common thing. Like, it's not a trade event. It's definitely an industry event to learn how to better create games, or how to use these tools, or to make business partnership arrangements with other companies for to publish games, or to get new developers up if you are a publisher. So it's more of an event like that. But it wouldn't surprise me, because this is really Google's time to shine. All of the founders packs are going to be expiring if you don't keep paying for Pro. There's a lot of interest in Stadia base, so this might be a really great kind of marketing thing for them to get out in front and say, hey, we're releasing this game, we're releasing that game, we just signed this company and they're bringing this game to Stadia, and announce some stuff that way. I think that would be super fitting.
Now, you mentioned Pro. So here's my question to you. Now you have a 4K TV. Now you have on Monday you'll have a 4K monitor. Yeah. Are you going to be keeping Pro?
Oh, hell yeah. I love 4K. I knew I would, but that's why I didn't want to buy it, because I knew now, like, I just got a 4K TV like hours ago. I already want to go pick up a new Xbox and a new PlayStation, because I want to play games in 4K. That is my sickness, and I live with it every day, and I know it. And now I've broke that seal. I have a 4K TV. I'm going to have a 4K monitor right away. So I'm going to keep paying for Pro at least for the next few months, just to see what kind of shakes out.
Random Noob in chat says we also have Google I/O shortly after GDC. I don't know when the date. What is the dates for Google I/O? Do you know?
I don't know offhand. I can Google it.
So for he's Googling it. So for those of you that don't know, Google I/O is usually when they announce like their new phones for the year, and so they'll be like, "Hey everybody, this is the Pixel." Actually, don't they usually? No. Okay, that's usually in October. They announced like the low end Pixel at Google I/O usually. So like last year they announced the Google Pixel 3A. So I assume that we'll probably have the 4A this year, and then they might talk about like laptops or something like that.
Correct. Yeah, they were last year. The big thing they were announcing was all of the voice commands basically being
that was a cool demo,
compiled down to nothing, so it can live in a feature phone. If you just have a feature phone, not a smartphone, you don't have a lot of internet connectivity. And I'm like, holy crap! They got the ability to listen to people talking in all sorts of languages down to like almost like no storage space on a feature phone. It was pretty interesting. So yeah, Google I/O this year is May 12th to 14th. So that's coming up shortly.
I have to say, and I know this is not the phone show, but the Google Voice Assistant, it is the one thing that tempts me to ditch my iPhone. I
Same.
love my iPhone, but Siri is a hot pile of garbage compared to the Google Assistant. As you can probably see it. I've got a Google Home sitting right next to me over here. We've got them throughout the house, and every time that I have to use Siri, I'm irritated. And the idea that the Google Assistant is built into Stadia is really exciting. Even though right now it's only used to launch games, I can't wait to see what happens down the road with that feature, because I think that they can really surprise us if they integrate it into the video games, that they like the first party stuff really, really well. Lloyd,
Definitely.
you just picked up a tablet.
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention this because I was so I was like, oh, 4K. I picked up a Amazon HD 10 tablet, which is like the super cheap. It's like $200 Google tablet, or sorry, Amazon tablet. And I wanted to see if the reason why I picked it up was for xCloud, because xCloud is supported on this device by default, and I got into the xCloud beta, so I've been playing Forza and Gears of War and Halo on this tablet, and it works really, really well, which makes me really wish that Stadia was natively supported on it. But I did find a way that I can sideload, so I had to basically sideload the Stadia app. I had to sideload Chrome. I had to sideload this. I had to sideload Chromium because this is an Amazon tablet, so it's locked down from normal like Google Play stuff. But if I jump into Chromium, and I go to the Stadia website, which isn't loading for whatever reason, I can go into my Stadia account. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
I can't see my screen.
Oh, here, let
very
me
well.
make you full screen.
It's not working right now. Let's see if I can turn it. Oh, there it is. So I can actually jump into it, and I can start a game of Borderlands without any issues on this device. And of course, I'm saying that right now, and it's not working. Here, I'm going to exit game.
Do you think it's because you're sending your video to me and watching the YouTube channel at the same time?
No, I think it's because I was playing a game previously, and this browser is not working so well right now. I'm just going to do a refresh.
Oh, I can see it. It was just asking you how your game was.
Exactly. So I can basically drop right into Borderlands 3, and I can play it on this tablet, and it is fantastic. It works so well, and it has a USB-C port, so I can actually just plug right in the Stadia tablet, which I don't normally do because I can connect my Xbox One controller and play that way, and then I can have it plugged into power because the battery in this thing ain't so good. But if I have it plugged into the wall, I can actually jump right in and play some Borderlands or whatever game that I have on this little tablet. So it is possible, and I'm really excited for Google to allow other devices to use the Stadia app. Terza Reactor is asking, is it smooth? It's pretty smooth. There is a little bit of delay. It's actually working.
Yeah, he picked the longest loading game of all of the games on Stadia. Like Borderlands 3 takes forever to get to a point where you're actually playing.
I don't even know where the speakers are. I'm trying to hold it up to my microphone, but I'm probably just making more noise by tapping my microphone with the thing. but it actually works. It works really well. I was really surprised. I got it for xCloud so that I can get to the xCloud beta and play that stuff. And I decided to try to sideload, and it works really, really well. Of course, I don't have a controller, so I can't do anything with it right now. It has the it has a controller on the screen because it's like, are you using a PC now? I guess that's what it is. But there we go. I have Borderlands 3 running on my $200 Amazon tablet, and it actually runs. It doesn't run perfectly. I mean, it's much better to use a web browser on my computer, but it works. It worked enough where I was having a lot of fun with it the other day.
How does compare? Can you? Well, we probably don't have time for this. Maybe there'll be a video in the future where Lloyd compares his experience of playing xCloud versus his experience of playing Stadia, because we're already at an hour. Maybe we can talk about it after the show.
Sure.
All right. One last thing before we get out of here. Let's see. Sneaksy left a YouTube comment. They said, When is Stadia coming out with the free service? If those paying a subscription are able to play now, why can't the rest of us? Perhaps Google is having second thoughts about the free service. And to Sneaksy, first off, your name is funny. Secondly, no, Google is not having second thoughts about the free service. People have got to learn to be patient. Oh my God. Like, I find it and it's not just Sneaksy. It's all over Reddit. It's all over Twitter. People are like, Google is taking so long to do this. Right now, they are in the data collection phase. They want to see what works and what doesn't. And they can't really do that testing without having lots and lots of people to test with. But if they just open up to everybody, then they get there's too many outliers. So that's what's happening right now. And as far as when are we going to get the free service, I'm still predicting that by the end of this month, we will have Stadia Base. But do you think it's possible that, people who decide not to subscribe, not to extend their pro accounts, do you think that they will have Stadia Base? I mean, I think that it's already the case. Like, people who have returned their stuff, they have Stadia Base, don't they? But you just can't get it without buying the hardware.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have a pro and you let it lapse or you refund it, you get a base account. Same if you type in a buddy pass code, you get essentially you get a base account that's added 3 months of pro on top of it. You can tell it's a base account because it has the hashtag or #, 4 digits after it. But you get the pro membership, like you're paying for pro. So base is out there. It's supported by the service. It's just a matter of when does Google want to release it to everybody, because I'm sure that's going to be hard on their servers for those few days after they let everybody jump in and start playing games.
My guess is it's going to be waves. Like, they'll be like, hey, everybody, if you want to sign up. This is just like the xCloud beta. Go ahead and sign up, and we'll let people in these. Yeah, like Gmail. We'll let this group of people in, and then we'll let this group of people in. And as they let people in, those people will play a bunch for a couple of days, and then they'll slowly trickle off. And some people will come back, and some people won't come back. And then as the number of people playing starts to dip, they'll say, hey, here's a second wave of people. And then eventually, once they've let in enough people, then they'll say, all right, now everybody can play. And it's honestly the best way to do it in order to make sure that they have servers available for us. All right, so before we get out of here, we did just receive a super chat from Anthony Talca, and I almost forgot about this, but you can now manually update your Stadia controller. It doesn't actually do anything yet. People are anticipating that when that happens, that we are going to then be able to. They're anticipating that this is a prelude to us being able to use the controller wirelessly with other devices, which I'm sure you're excited for, Lloyd, because you got your Amazon Fire HD 10, right?
Yeah, it would be nice to do it with my PC more than anything else, because then I can leave my CCU hooked up to my big 4K screen, and then I can keep playing through a web browser on my new 4K screen that will be here in a few days.
And you know what? Another thing for me is I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online a lot in anticipation of summertime when it comes to Stadia, and I'm really having fun with that game. But I'm playing on my Xbox controller, which you can see over there. That's that blue controller on the wall. I would very much prefer to play on the Stadia controller because I think this is a superior controller. In my opinion, I like the Stadia controller better. It just feels good, and I like the placement of the sticks better. This is somebody coming from playing mostly PlayStation games this generation compared to Xbox games, or using that controller anyway. And I would love to be able to use my Stadia controller on ESO, but I am not going to plug it in with a wire because wires are bad as far as I'm concerned. I hate wires. I've got two wires on my desk, one for my mouse and one for my Stream Deck. And my mouse, I want to get rid of and get a wireless mouse, and my Stream Deck, I have no choice. So, Lloyd's showing off his wireless mouse.
This is really good because it can be wired or wireless, and it has a built-in rechargeable battery that you can charge with the wire that you can plug in. So get something like that.
Yeah.
This Corsair mouse is just fantastic.
I have a Logitech mouse, and the thing I love about it, and I don't know if other companies have this, but there's a button that you can click, and when you click it, it makes the scroll wheel go click, 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 and then when you click it, you can just spin it real fast, and it'll scroll like crazy. And I've been using that for ages, all the way back to when I played Star Wars: The Old Republic. I would bind a button to scroll wheel up if I wanted to jump forward. So like when I was playing Hutball, I had an ability which would allow me to close the distance between me and my target really, really fast. And so when that was on cooldown and I wanted to use it, I would click that button and hit scroll wheel up, and it would just keep spinning. And as soon as that ability was off cooldown, my character would leap forward. And then I would have another one where I would use a grappling hook. I would reach out and grab somebody and pull them towards me. And I did that as the mouse wheel back. And ever since then, that's been the defining feature of a mouse that I look for, is does it have a super quick scroll wheel that I can also make go clicky if I want. And does yours do that?
No, the Corsair mouse it's limited to just being it's clicky. I don't like having the free wide open scroll wheel. I had an old Logitech gaming mouse, and it did that, and it drove me crazy. The nice thing about this Corsair mouse is it has 5 different DPI settings. So when you're playing first person shooters, you can go into like sniper mode or whatever. I find that that's really nice as well.
You know, this is a PSA for people. I honestly forgot about this, but somebody had said something to me about changing your DPI setting on your mouse makes Stadia feel better when you're playing a game on Chrome. Now, you've tried that?
Oh, it definitely would. More like higher DPI means that you're getting there's more data basically that's going back and forth between the web browser. So if you lower your DPI, it might feel a little bit better because there's less updates that are happening.
Yeah, I've heard that Stadia doesn't support certain DPI, so if you set it to the DPI that it does support, then that makes it better. Anyway, I don't know. I haven't tried it because I haven't played it on Chrome since I got my Chromecast. All right. We also want to thank 916 Martin and Ray Sherrod for becoming new members. I really, really do appreciate that, and I'm sure Lloyd does too. But we've been talking for an exceedingly long period of time. There's going to be a post show, so keep hanging out, but we got to wrap up. So follow the show on Twitter at Stadiacast. Follow me at Run Jump Stomp. And follow Lloyd at Dasme. That's DASME. And if you want to get a hold of us, if you want to leave a comment for the show, use the hashtag Stadiacast so that we can find your tweets. Real quick, Lloyd has something that he wants to promote. You just spent a month doing a lot of work. What was that?
Yeah, so I do mostly Nintendo content on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ResTV, and I did a first look of a Nintendo Switch game every single day in January. So I did 31 videos over 31 days, and it was fantastic. I had a lot of fun, but it was so much work, and I would appreciate if you guys go and check it out and check out some of the games. There's some really amazing ones. We got a new just stealth drop Witcher game on the Nintendo Switch, which is like kind of like a 2D top-down RPG with Gwent as the battle mechanics. That was really great. I did Kentucky Route Zero. I did the game where you're a killer Roomba called Roombo. There's like so many amazing games that I looked at. A lot of older ones, a lot of newer ones. So it was a crap ton of work, but hopefully everybody that has been checking out the videos has been enjoying them.
Yeah, and I want to promote something as well really, really quickly. I've got this new stupid little project that I decided to work on. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. It is an old school newsletter because I just love reading about gaming news and finding information about it and sharing that with people. So if you want to check that out, there is a free video game newsletter. Head on over to runjumpstomp.com/mail. You're going to see Homer sitting on the couch telling you to have a seat with him. Click on that and put in your email address. And every couple of days, I'm going to send out a bunch of stupid GIFs along with gaming news and my thoughts on it. So make sure that you sign up for that. It's not just Stadia stuff. It's all parts of the video game industry. So make sure that you sign up for that. It is 100% free. All right. Join the Stadiacast Discord. We said that earlier. Don't forget to join Lloyd's Discord as well over at rezd.tv/Discord. That's rezd.tv/Discord. And the music that you're hearing right now is Subterranean Kamikaze by Zircon. Check out their stuff at zirconstudios.bandcamp.com. Lloyd, see you later, buddy.
See you, Bill. See everybody.
All right, and we're back. There we go.
Awesome.
We did it. That was a longer episode.
It was a good one though. Captain Skidmarks, can you use the Stadia controller on the Amazon tablet? Yeah, through USB-C, it works. What you have to do is a user actually made a custom APK of the Chromium browser that supports different controllers. So it supports controllers wired or wirelessly. So you actually have to sideload that version of Chromium that enables it, and then it works. So you're not using the Stadia app; you're using the Chromium web browser to do it. But yeah, it works wired. But I prefer my Xbox controller wirelessly because then I can use it for xCloud or Stadia. It'll be once it's built right into the Stadia app, then I won't have to worry about that. I'll just use whatever controller I have handy, and everything will be fine. But in this test mode, it's kind of hacky, and it works through the hackiness, but it would be much better if it was something that was supported directly from Google.
I am looking forward to when xCloud allows me to try it. Well, first off, allows me to try it, and then secondly, allows me to try it in a browser. Like, I don't get why they're waiting so long. Or you know what? Just put out an app, on your Windows, because like you make the operating system. Put out an app that I can just install from the Windows 10 store or something so that I can try it out, because why are they limiting it to just phones? I don't understand that. You know what? I do understand it. They're just trying to limit how many people that they have to deal with it at one point, I think.
And it's also 720p streaming. So if you blew it up on a computer and you had a 4K monitor, it's like, this looks like crap.
Oh,
and
that's
then
true.
they'd get that. That would kind of poison the well a little bit. So, but yeah, it's I don't know. xCloud works amazingly well. Like my son, he played. It was like 2 or 3 hours of Forza Horizon 4. He's a car freak, which is weird because I could care less if it has. if I could like push the gas pedal and it goes, that's all I'm happy about. But he loves cars. He hangs out with his grandfather who has an old car, and they go to car shows all the time. So he is a car fanatic. He played that forever. And if a racing game performs well through streaming, the streaming service is going to perform well. And he said it was great. Like turning acceleration, everything was great for him. So it works really well. And yeah, when it comes to PC, when it comes to other tablets like an iPad, I can see that being used a lot.
Yeah, and the thing about well, first off, thank you very much, Klopschnadel. I think I said that right. For becoming a member. Welcome to supporters. I think that at the end of the day, once xCloud and Stadia and whatever the Twitch thing is going to be, and I'm sure that they're going to do something, once all of those come out, the difference between the console wars that we are currently used to now and that is that you don't have to have any investment, especially with Stadia, because you can play for free at 1080p. I think that is like the biggest thing. And being able to play for free at 1080p is huge, absolutely huge. And I think that when all of these different streaming services come out, it's going to affect like there was all these memes of Yoda out there that was like begun the streaming wars have. I don't think it's a streaming war because you don't have to be exclusive. You don't have to say this is where I'm putting my, this is where I'm putting my, I'm planting my flag here, and I'm only going to play games on that. People do that because they can only afford one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think that that's going to be an issue later on.
Yeah, like if you're buying a $500 console, you can't buy all the $500 consoles.
Right. I mean, some can, but I can't.
Some can. Exactly. But if you're paying for games anyway, if you get them on a streaming service and you can play it on your PC or whatever device you currently have, I mean, that's great. I mean, you can pay for a lot of streaming services every month for a couple of years before it equals up to $500. So I think this is going to be. It's going to be great. It's going to be like Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus. Like, you don't have to choose one, and you don't have to be the guy that argues against everybody that says Netflix is the best. And it's like, no, Disney Plus is the best. You can just subscribe to them all. And that'll be the way it is with streaming services. If they do bake xCloud, whatever that turns into, whatever the name is, into your what is it, Game Pass Ultimate subscription.
Yes.
So you're already paying your $20 a month for that, and you get to stream it for free. I mean, that's going to be huge. So you pay your $20 a month for this, you pay your $10 a month for Stadia, you pay your whatever for Amazon or whatever other company comes out, and or $5 for what is it, the Razer thing, I think, whatever the other streaming services that just announced kind of that they're going to be $5 a month. If you're paying for all those, it's still not that much money. It's better than buying a $500 console and then another $500 console, then another $500 console.
Right. And of course, Stadia, I hope that the other platforms do this, where they say it's free at this resolution and then you pay whatever at this resolution. Yeah. I think that that's actually a really good plan, because then people don't feel like they have to have, because I don't personally want to subscribe to 12 different things. Like, I'm already, I subscribe to Netflix, I subscribe to Hulu, I have subscribed to Amazon Prime really for the free shipping, and then that gives me a bonus to actually be able to watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or whatever. But, I subscribe to all those things. I don't also want to subscribe to all of the gaming platforms too. But sure. The fact that Google gives us the free option is awesome. And I don't think that there are going to be streaming wars. Somebody tweeted this at me, and it made me laugh. And it said, it shows a person sitting there playing a game on a computer, and it says, "This is Bill. Bill is a gamer. Bill doesn't spend his days arguing on which is the best gaming platform. Bill just enjoys playing games because that's what gamers do. Bill is smart. Be like Bill." And I was like, I'm sure that wasn't directed at me, because it's not about, it's just Bill. It's like, it's a common name, but it was awesome, and I loved it. Like, that's exactly how I feel about it. In fact, I'm excited for xCloud and the Twitch thing and all of the other things that they're bringing that are coming out, because I think all of that stuff is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. And I love that we have the option to do that. And it's even better on Stadia. Like, if you are buying a $60 game and you don't have to pay for a console and you can play it streaming, I mean, that's going to be huge for them. And whether xCloud has something like that, or if it's just baked in and you don't get to buy your games necessarily, I guess you could, maybe down the road, but because xCloud currently right now is hardware streaming, where you have an Xbox, I have an Xbox beside me, so I can connect to it remotely and play whatever game I have installed on there, whether it's a disc or a digital download, which is pretty cool. Or I can play the stuff that's in the xCloud beta. So if they offer something like that, but then they have the ability for you to buy a game from Xbox Live and have it appear on a cloud Xbox that you're streaming from, that'll be huge as well. And that'll be if it's free, and if you don't have to pay a monthly fee to then access that. So it's gonna be an interesting year once all these plans kind of shake out. But I do love Stadia, and I love the idea of streaming my games. So it's going to be a really fun year, I think, when we find out all these different services.
Oh God, where was it? Zero Games for me said, "Do you use balanced or high quality setting when you're playing on a 1080p screen?" Well, okay, balanced is locked to 1080p, but that's right. Am I correct in assuming that Google detects that you're playing on a 1080p screen and then just sends you a 1080p stream? Or
yeah, Yeah, it would have to do that. They wouldn't send you 4K and then have the web browser scale it down. So they would do it that way. So high quality will allow you to get 60 frames a second. You can turn HDR on in a different feature. But if you're playing 1080p, I would just go right to balanced. It's less bandwidth, and it might be, depending on your network capability, it might be the better way for you to do it anyway.
But do you have to? Like, shouldn't it happen automatically? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, if you leave it on high quality, it will send you, it'll want to go 4K 60 if that's supported, or it'll go 4K 30 if that's supported, or it'll go 1080p 60, and it'll keep going down, right? Until it finds something that is supported in your area.
Right, but if you are on a 1080p screen,
it'll only ever send you 1080p.
So you
is my understanding.
Right, so you shouldn't have to set, like, you should just be able to ignore it and leave it alone, and it says, oh, he's on a 1080p screen, we'll just do the 1080p thing.
Exactly. It will send you, potentially, if you don't want 60 frames a second because your bandwidth is limited, you would put it down to balanced, is my understanding. But
okay.
if 60 is fine, 1080p 60 is fine, then yeah, you can leave it at high quality, and it will only send you a 1080p signal.
Well, but the balanced is 1080p 6, like,
sorry, high quality. I meant high quality. If you set it to high quality, it'll send you 1080p 60 by if the game supports it. That'll be, it won't ever send you 480p to you if you only have a 1080p screen.
All right, I think you're confused. So we've got the super low level, which we're not talking about. Then there's the balanced, which is 1080p 60. And then
it 1080p 60?
It is 1080p 60, because that's what people were doing to play 1080p 60 Borderlands, is that they would switch Borderlands over to 60 frames per second. And then there's the high quality, whatever the stupid thing is that they want to call it, that brings in 4K and sometimes 30, sometimes 60, whatever it happens to be. So if you are on a 1080p screen and you leave it at high quality, it should figure out, oh, he's on a 1080p screen, we'll just do 1080p 60. Or do you think people need to be aware of that and switch it to balanced?
Right. So yeah, best visual quality is up to 4K, balanced up to 1080p. I thought balanced was only 30 frames a second. I totally forgot about that fact that they would go down to 60. So I think part of the problem is we don't know.
Yeah, Google
we
tell
really
us.
Don't know. Darren Pogue saying, I think we figured out it sends full quality to the Chromecast, but only renders at 1080p if that's your TV supports. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We need more granular controls here. You need to be able to dial in. You need to say, I want 30 frames a second or 60 frames a second, and I want 4K or 1080p, and have them as separate settings. And I think that would be great.
Right. And all of those visual quality settings should be in one thing. Like, there's a separate place where you go and turn HDR on and off.
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't know that it was there. So like, when I open up my app and I go to whatever it is that they call it, I don't care. They should have resolution as one set of checkboxes, frame rate is another set of checkboxes, and HDR is another set of checkboxes, and I can pick and choose. I want this, or that. And then also let me do that per game, or let me choose it in game. So let me start the game up and say, I want this, and remember my damn settings. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, you should be able to just hit the Stadia button and bring it out and choose it from there, and then have your stream auto change without having to quit and restart the game if you change it.
Yeah. Art by Committee says that they should just be one button that says frame rate or resolution priority. I can see that too. But then people are just confused about what resolution they're getting. And there's a lot of people that care about what resolution they're getting.
Exactly. Yeah, it's still, I mean, this is early times. They have a long ways to go, but yeah, it is really confusing. And we learn one little bit of information, which then changes a bunch of other things, and then we find out that maybe that wasn't true, or it's only true in some instances, and it's just the everything gets muddy and it gets hard to talk about and keep it all straight.
There's a very there's a whole lot of variables when it comes to Stadia, and I think that does scare people away a little bit. Like, they're like, I don't know what it feels almost like PC gaming, but it's so much easier than PC gaming. But it like when people are having trouble, they're like, they go onto the subreddit or something, and people are like, well, did you try this? Have you gone into your router and done all these things? And then people get scared. Like I was talking about earlier, where I was saying, I'm looking at buying a new CPU. Now I got to buy all these other things, and I don't know if this is compatible with that. And if I buy this, then do I have to replace that? And it scares me. It scares me away from making those purchases. And I think that, that kind of thing might scare people away from Stadia. And that's too bad, because it, like, for me, it works wonderfully well.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll get easier. I'm sure it will. Although Google is usually developer focused and uber geek focused, so maybe it won't get easier for the layperson. Although the newest version of Android is way better than when I used Android during like Android 3 or 4. I had a device that I had to use for a specific thing at work, and it was horrible. But new Android it's just as good as iOS to me. So they've eventually got things to the point where it makes sense for the normies, not just the uber nerds, right? So maybe that's what they're going to do with Stadia as well.
And to be fair, downstairs we've got a Chromecast Ultra hooked up to the TV. My son has his own Stadia account, his own Stadia controller, and like he doesn't know anything about this kind of stuff, and he just turns it on and it just works. But we also have fast internet. Like I've got 300 down, 20 up. So we've got fast internet here at the house, and we've got Google routers, which makes it much easier. And they have automatic priority for Stadia. If you turn that, I don't think you even had to turn that on. I think it was just turned on. So I think it's fantastic. I'm having a blast with it, and it's working very, very well.
Yeah, exactly. Same with me. Darren Pogue, Lloyd, based on your experience, I'll turn on HDR again and give it a try. Just so you know, this is all new to me. I haven't had HDR on any of my monitors, so I'm like, ooh, look how nice it looks. Look, the shadows look so good. It may, at the end of the day, I may turn it all off and not care about it. But this is all like the nice, bright, shiny lights that are getting me really, really excited. But give me a couple weeks to mess around with it, and we'll see where I put it to. If I keep 4K HDR on, or I just go back down to 1080p and do it in a browser on my computer, we'll have to see.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap things up?
I don't think so, man. I think that was a really good show, a really good after show. Thanks everybody for coming out and joining us while we did this. I'm going to be doing I'll be doing an open mic this week for sure, probably on Tuesday. I just have to see when my daughter's basketball tournaments are, so I'm really excited to get those up and running again now that I'm not under the weather and actually can talk. That's important when you do open mics, is to actually have a voice and not coughing all the time. So now that that's a thing, I'll plan that for earlier this week.
That's right. And Metro Exodus, my Let's Play, is going to be coming out for members probably tomorrow. There'll be the first one, and I don't know what the cadence of me releasing episodes is going to be, and I don't know how long it's going to be members exclusive, but it won't be super long. And it's Metro Exodus. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I hope you guys will check that out. And of course, check out that mailing list, runjumpstomp.com/mail, because it's fun. A bunch of gifts of funny stuff.
Great.
One last question before we get out of here. Do you think this week will be some news about new games in 2020 or in Stadia? DM Orinix, I will say this. Okay, first off, I'm going to delete that. Stop saying we need more games. We heard you the first 28 times that you said that in all caps. You say it again, I'm banning you permanently. However, do I think we'll hear something this week? I thought we'd hear something last month and we didn't. So, Lloyd, do you have an opinion?
Yeah. I mean, I think, as we said earlier, like Google is they have to wait for publishers and developers to say, yes, we're going to be releasing a game, and it's going to be coming out now. It's going to be coming out on this date. It's going to be coming out next month. It's going to be coming out whenever. So until they have that information, they can't say anything about games. It's not the platform holder's responsibility to announce games. It's their responsibility to make sure that they make a platform that is viable for developers,
Yes.
and the developers have the ability to make a game that works well and then communicate with the platform holders to then make these announcements. So not every game that comes to Nintendo is announced by Nintendo. Not every game that comes to Xbox is announced by Microsoft. Just like every game that comes to Stadia won't be announced by Google. So hopefully developers and publishers and Google have been all working together. They know that this game's coming on this date, this game's coming on that date, and then they can have another Stadia Connect that gets all those things out into the public. But I wouldn't be surprised if we find out new games are coming from publishers in the near future, because Google's not responsible for announcing all this stuff.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Take it easy, everybody.